Hey everyone, it's Chris Loud. In this video demo, I'll show you one way I like to create a loose floral painting using acrylics with engaging color and expressive brushwork and marks. This one leans a bit more representational than my usual abstracts. It's more of an expressive, almost impressionist style that still keeps that intuitive, kind of playful energy. Before we get started, a quick shout out and a huge thank you to Barbara, Christine, and Dee for their recent Super Thanks donations. Your support helps keep this channel going and lets me keep creating and sharing these painting demos with all of you. So I'm starting this piece by toning the surface with a quick layer of Prussian blue mixed with a bit of light blue permanent. I'm not trying to build a full background. It's more about setting the mood and giving the painting a sense of depth right from the start. That cool blue tone helps unify the piece and gives the lighter layers I'll add later something to play against. And then I like to spray a little water over the wet paint and lift off some of those drops with a paper towel. It creates these organic water droplet effects, and I don't think many, or if any of them, really made it through to the final layer this time, but it's a fun little trick that can leave behind subtle variations and interest on the surface, just in case. After that, I dried the whole layer so the surface is ready for the next step. So next, I brought in bright yellow green, Naples yellow, and titanium white. This combination gives a great balance of warmth and contrast. Kind of bright, lively greens and soft neutrals with, maybe just a touch of drama. And now I'm going to bring in one of my favorite new tools, the ARRTX Jumbo acrylic markers. These are big, bold paint markers with a 15mm chisel tip that's amazing for wide gestural strokes and layering over dried acrylics. You can also make thinner marks with this one as well if you angle the tip. These are water-based, opaque, and highly pigmented, so they glide smoothly without clogging. And I love using them to add crisp blocks of color, quick line work, or little moments of texture where a brush can't really reach. So if you want to check them out, I'll put a link in the description. I'll also bring in a few other smaller tip markers for little dabs of color a little bit later. They really blend well with other acrylic paints. And to be clear, you can also do this painting without using markers. I just find them fun to play with, and it can be a bit like painting and mark making at the same time. So I'm applying the paint loosely and letting colors overlap. The fun part about painting loosely is watching those unexpected blends happen. It reminds us that not everything in art, or for that matter, life, really needs to be controlled. Painting this way helps us let go of overthinking and focus on feeling the rhythm of the brush or the marker or whatever tool you're using. Instead of drawing every petal, think of painting the movement of the flower, the way it leans toward light or sways in the breeze. So right now I'm just using one of these jumbo markers, and you can see I'm just twisting my wrist. I'm holding it at the end, and I'm just kind of making some shapes, or I don't know if you want to call those shapes. I guess they're shapes, but just kind of playing and twisting the lines to see what kind of comes out. And that's kind of part of being intuitive with this. I'm just seeing where these flowers are going to lay by the way my hand twists and the way that the marker moves across the canvas. And when we loosen up, we build confidence in our brushwork or mark making, or however you're making art. And I think we create more dynamic, expressive compositions when we paint loosely. And we also learn to trust intuition over precision. And obviously, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being detailed and precise and doing art that is detailed like that. I'm just specifically talking about being loose and expressive when you're painting abstracts or really any kind abstracts, impressionists, whatever style of art you like. If you want to paint loosely, you really do. It's good sometimes to just trust your intuition and kind of see where that takes you. And these quick intuitive floral studies are also perfect warm-ups before larger paintings. They get the creative energy flowing and remind us why, why we paint in the first place. At the end of the video, I'll show you some close-ups of this painting and the final painting, as well as a similar painting I did before this one that didn't end up quite as expressive. So I decided to work on a little bit larger canvas. This one's 12 by 16 inch, and to try and be a little more free and loose with it. So you can see I'm using these jumbo markers. I started off with a blue marker, and unfortunately they don't have names, so I can't tell you it's a cobalt blue or ultramarine blue or anything. It's just they have a number. So I started with blue and a little bit darker violet and blended those slightly, and then added a little bit of a lighter violet over top of that, and then just a splash of white, and just to kind of get the base of those shapes down. I wasn't going for anything specific. You can see that I just made kind of some lines even with some of them. And now I'm using some of that Prussian blue to do a little bit of shadow underneath each of those flowers. And I keep kind of going back and forth between using a brush with a mix of that brilliant yellow green and Prussian blue and the markers, and just really kind of playing. And you can see that it's starting to kind of take on more of an impressionist style of painting. But again, a little more representational. You can actually, I think if you just glanced at this, you'd probably think, he's painting flowers. Which again, a little different than what I normally do. And I bring in a stick now and then, dip it in paint, and just to get some more rough marks and lines in there. And really kind of playing with some of these colors in the jumbo acrylic marker set that I hadn't played with before. But these flowers are based on a purple aster, which at this time of year are growing all over the area that I'm in. And that's kind of what I had in mind. And we also have these white prairie asters. So I was not looking at a picture, just kind of trying to remember, loosely what I saw as I was walking. And just kind of playing with the idea and kind of the essence of those purple asters. So I'm kind of getting in these main floral shapes. Again, nothing exact, just kind of clusters of rough, imperfect outlines, and then getting some colors in there. And again, just kind of working that background and getting some little areas of interest with different colors. And honestly, I'm pulling these markers out, and several of them I'd never even used before, and just having fun and seeing what those colors look like against what I already have on. So I'm just kind of putting something down and then reacting to that. And you'll notice I'm not afraid, if what I'm doing overlaps. That's part of the charm of expressive painting. It feels alive because, we can kind of see the hand of the artist when you look at paintings like this. So these asters, I don't know if they're a related to daisies or fleabane, but they have these thin little petals. So I'm just kind of giving the again, kind of the essence of those petals. And although they're purple flowers, they do pick up the highlights of the light. So kind of working with this violet marker as well as these this white marker. And really, this is sped up, but my hand, I kept my hand moving fast. The idea is to capture energy, not necessarily the outlines. So I'm bringing in some black again, just trying to get some of those shaded areas. Again, twisting my hand just a little bit as I'm putting this down, just to give kind of imperfect and rough lines. When I was, I painted, gosh, probably 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and stopped and let it sit. And I came back the next day and really was not thrilled with the background. So you will see that I come in and I play with that background and lighten that up a little bit. Now these asters don't have orange or red in them, but that's kind of the fun part about painting for yourself. You can make those decisions. You can add whatever you want. You can paint however you want. So I wanted to add a little bit more interest. So I added to a few of these a little bit of this light orange into the head of the flower. And I'll come back in with a little bit lighter orange to kind of touch some of the other areas to still kind of tie those in with those other, with the heads with the darker orange in it. But I wanted those to stand out a little bit more. So let me know in the comments if you like painting florals or still life. It's not something I do that often, but there's definitely times a year where there's a lot of flowers in bloom, and I can't help but be inspired when I see those. So definitely grab my sketchbook a lot of times and just play loosely, and occasionally I'll do something a little bit more representational. That's the fun of again, painting for yourself. You can paint whatever you want, as many times as you want, and try new things. But when you paint florals this way, you learn so much about trusting your instincts. You'll find that imperfection often leads to the most interesting marks. Looseness can really bring life and energy to a piece. So you can see that I'm really working now on trying to lighten that background up. I still want a little bit of that original, those colors I just had down in those lines and marks. I wanted some of that to show through, but I felt like I wanted these kind of clumps of flowers to pop out a little bit more. So I'm doing this very roughly. I'm not trying to make a real crisp background. I want it to be rough and have a variety of colors, although they're all somewhat neutral. I want to have those kind of peeking through in different places. And I'll continue to work kind of those middle areas a little bit. I did a little bit of work after I stopped recording. I don't know if you'll really be able to tell too much, but I wanted to have a little bit of a soft kind of fade in some areas from the plant itself to the background, almost kind of a blurred bit of the plant that you can see through. So you'll see when I show the final version of this, you'll see that very, very light, soft edges in some areas. And if you've been feeling stuck or overly tight in your work, try a few loose floral studies like this. Even if you're not necessarily into painting flowers, I think quick expressive studies like this, is one of the fastest ways to reconnect with the joy of painting. And, you know, if you want to paint something else, paint something else. You know, again, you get to paint whatever you want. But I think doing quick, expressive, and loose paintings like this, especially, you know, with things that are, you know, that you're seeing every day, it's just a fun way to play and to kind of explore your own painting and your own art and your own style. So if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe. And as always, if you have any feedback or questions, I'd love for you to leave me a comment. And again, a big thank you to Barbara, Christine, and Dee. You help make this creative community possible. And everyone that leaves comments and interacts, whether through YouTube or Instagram. I have so much fun interacting with everyone. So I show you coming up here some close-ups, and you will be able to see some of the texture of the canvas in those close-ups. But you'll also be able to just see some of the kind of smaller brush strokes and marks made with those markers there. And I'll show you the final piece. And I'm not going to show you different orientations like I normally do, because this one pretty much works in one orientation at this point. So there's the final piece. I'll also show you the other piece that I did before this. It's a little bit more representational, not quite as expressive. So thanks for watching, and keep on painting.